Testing. 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, I can see it now. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So for some
Clearly has
reason,
it.
this one isn't working. 1 second. I'm gonna change it back. Here. And now we have audio. Welcome to the Maple Syrup Show. I don't know why the Logitech doesn't have audio.
So am I
Anyway.
going to be on the same laptop as you?
Yeah, we're doing it on the
Okay,
same laptop.
cool.
So you can just come sit right here, or I can sit there if you want to be comfy
Oh, you mean on a
on the
is
little
that a-
stool.
Is that a stool?
It's a footstool.
But
so-
what about the actual? There's a chair.
There's a chair?
Look.
I can't move that chair. I'm not strong enough to move that chair. Hey, okay, good. We got audio now. Now we're gonna get a chair. Apparently, Kat is moving a giant chair over
It's
here.
not that giant.
It's pretty big. It's bigger than I am.
You
So-
go on that chair.
Okay, so Kat's gonna sit in this chair. I'm gonna sit in this chair. Hey, everybody. Okay, so Maple Syrup Show.
Cool.
All right, we have audio.
Hi.
We have chairs. We're gonna get Kat all aligned here. Let's get her in frame. Hey, you know what?
It
So,
looks so red.
which is good because it matches your badge.
So,
So,
it doesn't though.
Oh,
I have
so-
a blue one.
I have to tell you about the gathering. So, first of all, the Gathering of Friends is a smallish, intimate event that is about 400 odd people in Niagara Falls, America, that runs about 10, 11 days during April. It is a private event, and I get that some people are miffed because they don't get invited, and that's the way it works, unfortunately. But this year, I get to invite somebody or some people every now and then, but they have to be vetted. Not just I get to invite them and they automatically come. I have to invite them, and then other people in the community of the guests have to say, yes, I also think that person should come. And so Kat was one of the people that I either invited or I vetted. One or the other. I don't know. I can't remember. It's been a long time.
I think invited.
I think I invited Kat because, I write a letter, and it's like a long letter that I have to write. Say, Kat is not only the co-host of the show that I've been doing, where Daryl was here, and Daryl's a guest here, and Erica's a guest here, Alara's a guest here, right? So a lot of the people who are associated with Maple Syrup are guests of the Gathering of Friends. And so then I send my letter in, and Craig and Bobby, who are the organizers, because Alan's kind of stepped down from organizing it, and Janet has stepped down from organizing it. Janet is Alan's wife.
Alan Moon.
Alan Armoon.
Ticket to Ride.
That guy. And then other people have to kind of vet that Kat is good people. And we know, you and I, Maple Syrup people, know that Kat is good people. But other than that, it's a kind of thing where,
like backing vocals,
right? we have to we just want to make sure that people that are invited are people who would get along with the other people that are here, because it is small and you will see those people for 11 days straight because you're all in the same small ballroom, right? It's not like Gen Con where you're in a giant convention center. You're in literally a hallway of a hotel and then the main ballroom of that hotel, and you all have to stay in that hotel, right? And you often
it's
go for
maybe
meals
40
together.
tables or something, 40, 50 tables, something like that.
Well, if you include the hallway, then it's
Yeah.
probably more than that. But yeah, it's probably 60 tables total.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, it's only about 400 people, 500 people maximum. So anyways, and Helena, we miss you too.
Yeah.
It was
but
sad
I got
to
to
see
see
you.
you.
Yay!
Finally, we've been trying to do this for such a long time, and finally, it's like, okay, actually met.
Okay, so the red joke badge and the red joke badge
Red
making
joke badge.
her face. The
Rough.
joke I was making about her face matching her badge. She said, "Oh, I'm so red." So the thing about the Gathering of Friends is that everybody who's a new attendee gets a red badge, which means we have to be very kind to them. It's not that we're not kind to everybody else, but we're kind especially to new guests,
Everyone's been really mean to me.
except for this person here, because she registered as a publisher. And when you're a publisher, you get a blue badge, and we are mean to blue badges. I'm kidding, we're not mean to blue badges, but that the same expectation isn't there, because people who come as industry are hardened veterans of the grind, just like Kat. And so she could have requested a red badge,
I didn't know.
but she didn't know.
I didn't know.
And she got here earlier than I did because I came a day late. And so
I mean, I mentioned it to several people, but like,
it's okay. It's okay. We
I
still
wasn't
people
sure.
will still treat you kindly because it's a bunch of cool
Everyone's
people.
been actually like this is a bit of a bit. Everyone's been really
Yeah.
neat, and I've pretty much not had any time where I've been like I'm alone. Yeah.
Well, when you make a bit, you have to commit to it. So I'm just going to actually make a bit right now, and I'm going to interview with a knife, but I'm going to hold it with this. So, Kat, as a first time attending to the Gathering of Friends, what has been the best part of it so far?
The fact that every time I walk around, every time I'm sitting somewhere, every time I like open a game or pick up a game, there is someone there going, "Let's play it."
Right.
It's amazing.
Or can I teach you that game?
Yes.
And not even play it with you.
That's amazing as well. I haven't had anyone teach me a game that we didn't end up playing, but I have had a bunch of people come over specifically to say, "Oh, I heard you wanted to learn this game. I'm going to teach it to you."
Right. So we just started. This is the first year. This is how old school Alan and the Gathering of Friends is. There was never a Discord until this year when somebody said, "I like Discord." All right, then go start one. And then I think Natalie started a Discord.
Yes.
It has been great because it's actually a little more fluid than Facebook. And so people will say things like, "Oh, I need to learn Arc Nova." Like that was me because of a job. And Kat was like,
I also need to learn Arc Nova.
and then Eric Myers was like,
I'll teach you Arc Nova.
"Oh, you're being Eric?"
Well, I mean, who else is good? You can't just hold it.
I was holding it to Eric. He's over there watching somewhere.
Okay.
Eric said he'd teach us, right? And so we're tonight at 10 o'clock after the show, we're gonna go down and Eric will teach us.
Oh, okay.
Right?
I hadn't seen that, but because there's
no, he didn't tell you.
Oh,
he didn't tell you. He told me in person, not over the internet.
Okay.
So I said, "Oh, I'm gonna see Kat, so I'll tell Kat."
Okay, cool.
Okay, so Kat, what were some things you thought about the Gathering, before you got here that you were worried about that didn't come true?
I thought that people would possibly be like, "What are you even doing here?"
Why?
Because I think, "What am I even doing here?" Because I still feel quite new.
You are just playing games.
Yes.
So that's the misconception about the Gathering. The Gathering is not an industry event. The Gathering is a gathering of friends. Like literally, it's in the title, guys. So yes, a lot of us are from the industry, but what happens and what Alan expected, and this is something that is hopefully going to carry through with the new management, is that designers invite other designers, right? Media invite other media. Publishers invite other publishers. People who are none of those invite people who are none of those. And so we'll have always that kind of healthy mix of industry and non-industry. I was playing with a person today, Adam, who is from Tennessee. And
Hi, Adam from Tennessee.
Yeah, and I'm like, "Adam, what do you do?" And he's like, "Oh, I just blah, 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 blah," whatever he does. "Oh, okay, now you're designing any games?" He goes, "I have no intention of ever designing a game." I keep holding this mic out because I'm pretending I'm Adam. And it's not even a mic, guys. It's a knife because Kat comes prepared to cut apples. Anyway, so it's like you meet all sorts of people from all walks of life. People come for one weekend. People come for both weekends. If you're like me and you live close, I come for one weekend. I go home and I do some work, and then I come back for the rest of it. So it's a really lovely time. Actually, it's funny. Last night when I came back through customs, the customs agent was, "So what are you doing? Where are you going?" I said, "Oh, I'm just going right there because you can see the hotel from the bridge." I said, "Oh, I'm just going to the Sheraton right there." "Oh, what are you going there for?" "Oh, it's a board game convention." "Oh, and when will you be going back?" I said, "Oh, 5 days." She goes, 5 days? I said, "You'd be amazed. It's 11 days." She goes, "What?" I said, "Yeah, 11 days of board gaming. It's the best time ever." She was like, "Are you sure? Are you really, really sure?" She didn't say that, but she gave me a look like that. Anyways, and she let me right through. So she was like, "You're a nerd. You're not doing anything wrong in this country." So what were some of the things that you thought about the Gathering of Friends before you came or anticipated but did come true? Not negative, not positive, just anything.
I was pretty sure that I was going to play a lot of games.
And
I played a lot of games.
So Kat, how many games that are new to you have you played so far? Just rough.
All of them.
So how many games do you average in a day?
I'd say today has pulled the average down a little bit because we've spent all of it playing Darwin's Journey, but I'd say maybe at least 10 a day,
10 new games a day.
at least.
So do you think by the end of this you'll have played like 100 new games?
A high chance,
Wow.
including prototypes.
Right. So that's unfortunately not unfortunately. I mean, I like it, is what I'm doing here a lot. So one of the nice things about the Gathering of Friends is it's one of the only times that I get to see some of the people that I work with for a long, lengthy period of time where we're not actually selling anything. So that's one of the big differences about the Gathering versus like a Game Gen Con or any other major convention where there is a sales floor. Zero, no sales floor here. Yes, there's industry people here, but we're not here to sell our games. We're here to work on games. We're here to show new games to prospective, business partners. We're here to eat dinner with each other, play games with each other, just bond and meet people. It's lovely. And so one of the things that I get to do, because Jay lives 3,000 kilometers away, that's 1,500-ish miles for you Americans, is actually work with him face to face. And so over the last couple of days, Alara and I are working on a great game for Off the Page Games. We've made like 7 iterations of it over the last 5 days, which is unheard of usually for us to do. But because we're in the crucible, we're like cooking it together and we're face to face finally for the first time in a long, long time. It's funny. You'd think that my co-designer and I, who live literally like an hour and 15 minutes away from each other, would see each other a lot, but we have not seen each other in physical space since the last Gathering of Friends. And so the Gathering is a really big deal. It's a really big reason for some of us who have been housebound for a long time because of the pandemic and illness and stuff like that to get out and go see friends. While there is not a 100% masking policy here, there is a general consensus that you respect the people who you're with. Alara carries a portable air recycler with her. All sorts of people are wearing masks, and it's fine. It's wonderful. But if you don't wear masks, people aren't always like, they're not shaming you, but they might ask you to put them on, and you would put one on because you're probably playing with somebody who is chronically, has a depressed immune system or something. And that's just good anyways, right? So anyways,
I'm just busy while you're talking. I'm counting how many games I've played each day.
Literally counting them.
So yesterday I played 13 games. The day before I played 14 games. It's quite a few games.
And tonight we're playing Ark Nova, which is a big old game, but we're going to start at 10. We'll see how long it takes to get it done.
And I'm also playing Brambleton with Pat.
At some point?
Yeah.
Today?
Yes.
What time?
After Ark Nova, I guess. I've been getting to bed about 4 each night.
Oh, like Pat from
Marino. Yeah.
Okay. Dr. Pat.
Yes.
Okay. He is an actual doctor.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Not of medicine. He's like a PhD in leadership sciences.
Oh.
Yes.
I didn't know you could do a degree in that. That's cool.
He actually went to school here in this area of the world.
Oh, how exciting.
It is. I always bug him about his degree because it's just fun calling him Dr. Pat.
Now I know why you call him that.
Yes.
It was his birthday yesterday.
It totally was.
I've lost track of days. So happy birthday, Dr. Pat.
Yeah, happy birthday, Pat. And we also last night played Baron Park for the first time. And see, that's the thing. Like, we're not playing always the latest and the greatest. We're just playing games. And it's hilarious. So there's this guy named Rodney. Rodney's amazing. Rodney Summerstein. Shouts out to Rodney. He doesn't watch the show, but he is a wonderful human being. He brings like 10 shelves worth of new games every convention, every Gathering of Friends. And we sit there and we punch out a game for him, and then we play all of his games. Like, I almost never bring games to the Gathering because everybody else brings games. I bring prototypes. And it's fascinating how many people are willing to let other people play their games just to be able to play other people's games, right? And experience everybody else's stuff.
I mean, Rodney in particular is spectacularly incredible. Like, he is driving something like 7 hours with a hired U-Haul full of games
and shelves.
And it was something like he said it's something like 50 tubs of games.
Yeah, and so he also collects stats on how many times the games kind of go out.
Yeah.
And
so he knows which one to bring.
So he'll bring those again next year, and ones that didn't go out, he doesn't bring. So he's doing like data-driven game provision.
hugely appreciated. It's
Yeah.
so much
Yeah.
work.
So, and that's the other thing. Like, the gathering is, like I said, very, very intimate. That you get to know the people. So it's not just people you play games with. They're actual friends, right? And you care about them. There are people who have been coming to this event for like over 25 years. They're called the Black Badges, and they have been here for. They're like
What badge have you
institutions.
got? What color's your badge?
I
You don't have your
actually don't
badge
have a
on.
badge because I went home and I left it there. So I typically don't come as industry. Like, I don't come as representing the publishing companies. I come as myself, or I don't come at all. No, I'm kidding. I always come. Yeah, it's a good time. Good times have my own. But
So you've been here like 10 years? You've come to about 10 years of these? 10,
yeah,
15?
yeah, about that.
Yeah,
I've been here a
that's a
long time.
lot.
Yeah, but it's something I look forward to, like, every year.
I can
Coming
see
to
why
it,
now.
right?
It's really cool. Like, I thought, oh, it may be a bit weird because, there's sort of insider kind of things. They could seem really strange, but it literally does feel like a group of people started doing a convention and then they invited some more of their friends to come. And then their friends said, can I bring a friend? And that's kind of how it worked. And that really is what it feels like. It doesn't feel like one of these sort of very clicky things. That was one of my concerns, is that it would be really clicky and that I would feel like, oh, actually, I'm not meant to be here. I'm not part of
Well,
this.
no, it's
And
funny
it
because
wasn't. I didn't really get that
there
vibe.
there are groups of friends within the group of friends.
Yes,
Which will happen,
that for
right?
sure.
So Jay and I are best friends in real life and in game life, and so we will 90% of the time always go out to eat together. Like, but I'll also invite other people. Like, today we went to eat dinner and we grabbed William Adia, the designer of Kalis. Like, hey, William, we're going to eat. You want to come? That kind of stuff happens all the time. And a lot of people, because we do this every year, create little, like, traditions and rituals around the whole event. So every year, Jay and myself and Zev and JF. So Zev is Zev from Z-Man, who is now with Play to Z Games. That's his new publishing arm. JF used to be
Jean-François.
Yeah,
right?
Jean-François
Yeah.
Gagne. He is now head of Plan B. And so the four of us, I think for 7 years now, 8 years, maybe longer. I don't know. I can't even count anymore. We've been going to a movie. And you think, why do you go to a game convention to go to a movie? Well, because these are the people I want to talk about movies with. Because they think about movies, they like movies, they know movies just like I do, right? The same types of movies. And so every April, for some reason, I don't know why, there seems to be a horror movie, and every April we go to see a horror movie, if there is one out. It's not always horror. Sometimes it's just more like art house movie or something like that. Interesting, right? Something to discuss that we'll be able to sit down and talk about. So last year we went to see Renfield. The year before that we went to see Everything Everywhere All at Once. The year before that we went to see, I think, The Quiet Place. This year we went to see Civil War. In past years we've seen like Oculus and It Follows and
Would you consider
Them
Civil
and stuff
War
like
a
that.
horror movie?
I mean, it's horrible.
Yes. I mean, I try not to read too much about movies before I go and see them, but I didn't expect it to qualify as a horror movie.
Single-handedly the most riveting and harrowing movie I've seen in a long time. Like, so you have to understand, y'all. Like, Kat was saying, like, that she goes to bed at what?
4?
That is normal here. There's a lot of people who stay up pretty late. Like last night, I was up to 4 too. I went up at like 3 o'clock, but I didn't get to bed till around 4.
Oh, I left the hall at 4.
And then you fell asleep
I think probably by 5.
And then you got up at
9.
Yeah, that's the con life, right? You get about 4 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
Not everybody. There's like some hardcore people who do that, and I guess we're amongst those hardcore people, or like
not intentional.
the mid-range core people. There's other people who are really quite hardcore. But yeah, I mean, going to the movies is just a ritual that we do all the time, every year, because there is 10, 11 days that you're going to see these people. There's time to do these other things. It's not just about gotta play a game. And yeah, you know what? The funny thing is, like today, Justin and Anne-Marie from Fireside Games, Castle Panic, they left and they're like, oh, we didn't get to play a game together. And like, yeah, we'll see each other next year. because we have this ritual, we have this thing where we're going to see each other in a year from now, and it's okay. We can get that game in then, or next time I see you at another convention. Again, these are people who I think of as friends more than business associates or things like that.
I think that's the vibe that I really like about it. It doesn't feel like BGG definitely feels like an industry conference in a way, like
Well, it has
particularly
a panel,
after
with
hours.
TFN and stuff like that.
Oh,
right?
sure,
But,
no,
yeah.
but like the actual like after hours in the pub kind of thing, it still feels very much business, but people from the industry who are chilling out a little bit more. And I expected
like
this
same
to
thing
feel,
like at Big Bar on 2 at Origins.
yeah, and I expected this to feel a bit more like that, but this feels absolutely not like that. This just feels like a bunch of people who happen to be industry people. Like I accidentally ended up pitching because I thought people were just interested in finding out what my prototypes were like.
Yeah.
And then I realized afterwards I'd actually made a pitch meeting.
Sure.
Which I hadn't intended to do,
Well,
but I did. And
so
it went
how'd it
great.
go?
It went awesome. It was
Good.
like 2.5 hours of them going, wow, I love this, I love this, I love this. And I'm like, oh, thank you.
That's good. So yeah, I mean, there is business that gets done here just because it happens. Stuff will happen, but it's not expected. It's also not necessarily what's the word? Advertised as such, right? And it's more like, hey, let's go out for a meal and we'll chat, or hey, I heard you got this thing. You want to show it to me? And so the publishers will be more than happy. They are looking for stuff, of course they are. But it's also a place where a lot of the European publishers will come here to the gathering to show their games before the Essen releases, because some of them don't come to Gen Con, right?
That's actually been the biggest surprise for me, the number of European people who are here. I've been able to play multiple games in French.
Yeah,
in fact, I learned to play Tishu.
Oh, somebody taught you
in French.
Who taught you?
JF. And
Okay.
Who else was there? Monsieur Francois was there, and I forgot the name of the other person again. I'm so sorry. I can see your face. I just can't remember your name. Oh, no.
Stefan Brunel?
No.
So Jay and I have a history of crushing almost everybody at Chi-Chi. So if you're watching, JF, we're coming for you.
You should play Andre then. Because so what happened was there were 4 of us playing in French, and then JF was like, no, I've got to go to bed.
Yeah.
So he basically at first we were all playing, and I was not picking it up fast enough, and then one of their friends, Andre, who is German, came along, and he was sort of watching, and I was like, oh, do you want to take over my hand? Because then I can watch you play and learn from that, because I love doing that. It really helps me. I'm not saying I'm bowing out. I just want to watch what you're doing.
Sure.
And he's like, no, what I'll do instead is I'll give you tips. And I was like, but they'll hear you. And then I was like, wait, do it in German. And so I was playing Tishu, which I've never played before, in French mostly, but making sure that actually I was speaking English so that both the German speaker who didn't speak French and the French speakers who didn't speak German could all understand everything. And then the German speaker was giving me tips on what to do without using numbers, so as to give because they'll know the numbers. And so he's using other German, and I'm trying to get my school German to catch up. And it was all the whole thing.
It is really fun, actually, because so here you have the time to actually learn another language in some way. So Fel is here from Brazil, so I speak Portuguese with him, and then I speak French with all the French speakers. So it is nice. I mean, we obviously all converse in English as the main language, but when you can talk another language, when you can speak another language, why not? And practice it, right?
I ended up doing almost all of my pitch in French.
Oh, who are you pitching to?
Asmodee.
Oh, okay. Which branch of Asmodee?
The Plan B.
JF then.
Yeah, not JF. Vincent and Francois.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So yes, hey, Jessica Andrews is saying, forgot it was Wednesdays. Enjoyed a break. My game playthrough. Oh, that's fine. Happy you're here. Tell them to come. How many languages can Kat speak?
So I can speak English and French pretty much completely fluently. My German, Andre will tell you, it's comprehensible, but it's atrocious. I can speak enough Spanish and Italian with chance to change gears to get myself around, but I will almost always try and speak Italian instead of Spanish and Spanish instead of Italian. I can speak enough Greek to order some food and get basic directions, modern Greek. I can read quite a bit of ancient Greek, and I have a degree in Latin. And I can probably make my way through most of the Nordic languages with a dictionary to help for the vocab.
There you go. She's a polyglot. There you go.
I counted at one point, and I was able to greet people in 13 languages at that point, and I think it's dropped. I've dropped a couple of those languages because I can't speak any Vietnamese anymore, and some others.
Yeah, some of it is you have to use it, right?
Yeah, and I was using that all the time because there were painters who were Vietnamese who used to come in when I sold paint, and I got to like chat to them in Vietnamese. But now I cannot.
So, tell us about your games, Kat, and how have you been pitching them, and how is it different here than it is in, say, a more high pressure situation like Gen Con or wherever?
So I haven't really pitched many of my games at all ever. Most of the pitching I've done has been speed pitches online.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't really consider that to be pitching per se anyway, because it's so quick. So a speed pitch is basically you've got 5 minutes to tell them about your game and then for them to ask you questions. So you don't want to use the full 5 minutes. You want to do it in 2 and give them time to ask you questions, and then they move on from you. So I've done some of those in person and some of those online. I have had 4 pitch meetings in person that were the 2 of which just ended up being sort of casual chats about me in general, and so I didn't really pitch. One of them was a chat with Jacob Way, just being like, hey, yeah, here are some of our games, let us show you, and he took a few sell sheets and sort of that's where it went to. And then the one like 2 days ago.
There you go.
So yeah, and I just had a bunch of my prototypes with me that I'd been planning to work on, and so I was like, okay, here you go.
Are you actually planning on self-publishing more, or are you planning on pitching now?
Ideally, I would like to self-publish all of our games. Realistically, we can't do that, and I don't want my games not to exist.
Right.
So also people with more experience than me are probably going to do a better job of publishing my games.
I mean, maybe, right?
Probably. And so the big deal for me is like, if my games are good enough to be published, I would love for them to be published.
Yeah, I think that's a healthy attitude, right? Is understanding your limitations, knowing what you're good at, what you're bad at, or what you just don't know, right? Yes. Having an understanding of your weaknesses or limitations, and then finding out ways to fill that while you may get something out of learning the process or being part of that process.
Exactly. And so I don't want to answer that question for sure and certain until BubbleNet is actually published and we've done it and we've finished fulfillment and all of the steps that are involved in being a publisher. And then I'll know, because then I'll know what it's like to run the Kickstarter. Exactly. Can I actually handle this?
Can George handle me handling this?
Well, can the 2 of us actually manage all of this? Because George is our logistics king. So he's going to be he's managing all the quotes at the moment. He's going to be handling the logistics side of things. He's in charge of finance and those sorts of things. I'm doing the social media, the running the Kickstarter, everything, all of like the sort of public facing stuff, plus creating all of our advertising and everything else. Right. I don't know if I already said that. And marketing and so forth, and social media, community building and all of that. And and playtesting and like, I will be running our booth at Origins during the Kickstarter, and George will be at home
running the back end.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a lot of work to publish, right? So it is fascinating. I don't want to do it. I don't like doing it. I will never do it until I have nothing better to do. And I don't say that in a bad way. I mean, like I
just know yourself.
I just don't want to do it until I have no other job. Right. If I have any other job, I will do that other job first and foremost before I get down in the trenches and start to publish something myself. And the reason why is because other people are better at it than me.
Yeah.
And I'd rather spend my time doing something I'm good at for now until I no longer can or want to do that thing. And then I will learn how to publish. And I think I could do well at it.
I think you'd be very good at it if you wanted to.
Yeah, I just don't want to now, right? So right there you go. Leave it to the folks who love it or are exceptional at it. I think that's really what I'm getting at, right? Troy is saying that publishing and manufacturing is not fun. I believe you. But Jay, he seems to really enjoy it and love it, and he likes the campaign and the marketing and all that kind of stuff. He's always like that kind of stuff, and I'm good at parts of it, but I also don't like parts of it. Like I don't want to try to cajole somebody into liking my product or me or anything like that. It's like you do or you don't.
Yeah.
You can take it or leave it, right? But that doesn't make money, right? And so Jay is very willing to do the other stuff that I am not necessarily into. I will write copy, I will make ads, I will do all those things because I'm actually good at that, but I'm not necessarily good at the handshaking and baby kissing that sometimes is required of that.
Whereas that's definitely my skill set, and I've already so I've got quite a bit of background in running my own small business and everything else.
Mhm.
So I actually know a lot of what's going to be involved. All I want to know is, once it's all said and done, is this what we, so not just me, but what George and I want to do? And
Yeah,
how we
with your
wanna do it.
time.
Yeah. So until we've done it, we don't know. But I'm pretty sure that we know and we understand what we're taking
Sorry,
on.
you don't have a mic.
Oh, yes. Oh, sorry. Can you hear me? Is this thing on? Um, so
Yeah, there's a bit, and we're committing to it.
I mean, that's the important thing is actually, like, there's one thing about understanding all of it, and I know a lot of people don't think it's fun, and that's fine. For me personally, a lot of this business running and interfacing with people and stuff is fun, and I really enjoy it, and I love the idea of building the Dreyring brand. I'm
Mhm.
really into it, and I think it's really cool, and I really want to do it, and I think we make great games, and I would love to get them out there. But also realistically, I've got something like 25 viable games right now, and I'm not going to publish all of those.
Yeah. Yes, it's not a popsicle, Jess. It's a knife. It's for apples, not for anything else. Just apples.
Apples.
Only apples have been harmed in the production of this video cast. Yeah, Jess is saying that for someone who hasn't done it before, she could see herself loving the logistics, but needs somebody else to do the marketing, crowd building, social media, that kind of stuff. Right. And I get it. I'm not that person to do parts of it. I would just get frustrated unless it was the only thing I had to do. And then maybe I could focus on it. What else? What else is there about the gathering? Let's talk about the gathering because we're here. That has been interesting. What's been unexpected?
How much people have been into particular games.
Oh, like what?
So Kabanga has been one, or Kabanga, or how you that one really surprised me about how much people have been really excited about this funny little game, and just like how light some of the games people have been excited about have been.
Yeah, so
I thought it was going to be all like big games, but
well, I think what you'll find is that by the end of the night, people don't have the bandwidth for the really heavy games, and they will gravitate towards those silly little party games or little card games. And you'll find inevitably, like every year, there's a different game that is the game of the gathering at different levels. There's like one or two games that become the game of the gathering. So what have you seen so far that you thought was like exceptional, that is a game that you played? It doesn't have to be a prototype. Could be a published game, could be one that's coming out.
It is actually a prototype. I think the one that sticks in my head the most is a prototype of a game called Fountains.
Okay.
And what's super cool about it is that you're actually physically, so you have these tiles that are fountain shaped, and the shape of parts of fountains, and you're getting to build this sort of complex of pools, and you get to build them up and have sort of the water flow down, and you get points for that, and you get points for how many fish and how many lily pads and things like that you've got in them at different times.
Now, why does that stick out to you?
Partly because I really like that it has this, very tactile, very sort of thematic tile plus building concept, and partly because it has this really awesome Mancala style rondel, where so Mancala being the one where you pick up little pebbles and drop them one at a time at a high level. So what this is it's a rondel, so that's a circular set of choices, and you move around that, drop it, so you pick up however many tokens are on there, and then you drop them one at a time, and if any of them, so they're different colors, and if the two colors match together, that is a scoring condition for that particular thing. So if the two greens match, that's when you score how many lily pads you have.
Yeah.
And it's just that kind of, for me, that feels very elegant. It's not a completely finished prototype, but there's a lot about it that I really, really enjoyed, and I would absolutely in a second buy this game.
Yeah, I've played it a couple times. It's interesting. I'll say that. I don't love everything about it. I actually don't love the Mancala mechanic in it. I like the mechanic. I love the mechanic. I just don't know if it works with what you've got
Oh
there.
yes, okay. So that's what I mean by it not being a completely finished. So I loved that, and I loved the building. I wasn't sure if the two went together, but I enjoyed both of those things.
I think both parts are interesting. I just don't think it's a good blend currently in the current iteration. Just because the action selection of the Mancala, sometimes you're like locked into like this is the only space I can go no matter what I do. Right. And so
did you play it before or after Pat made the change?
I don't know.
Were you selecting 1 or 2 tiles when you moved?
1.
Right. Okay. So he's made a change.
Oh, good. Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
He's been carrying that around for a couple of cons now, so he's been working on it. What other things did you see out there that kind of like caught your eye at all?
One thing that was really interesting actually is I got to play I think a re-implementation of quite an old game. It's called Big Boss.
Yep.
Yeah. That felt like an old game, but it was really interesting to play it as a modern game.
Yeah, I think you're going to see that. A lot of people here are aficionados of like they're hardcore aficionados of like games, right? So it's not just the cult of the new, although there's lots of that, but there is like a deep love of the more classics from the late 90s, early 2000s, which sounds hilarious calling them classics. But games like, well, you see them on the shelves like Big Boss and whatnot that are really quite more, they have like a mechanic.
Yes.
Right. But they do that mechanic very, very well, as opposed to a lot of the modern games where it's like 17 mechanics rolled up into one, and you might get to see one, you might not, depending on what card you play. So there's lots of gamers here that are really into like purist, and not that they poo-poo the other ones, but they really quite like some of the older style games. Just asking, how many games are coming to tables with minis and or thematically very similar to one another?
So that's 2 different questions. The first one, games with minis. There are always lots of games coming out with minis. Games with minis coming to the table at the gathering, I've seen almost none. And the reason for that, in my estimation, is generally that games with a lot of minis in them are one of 2 things. They're either like fighting battle-y kind of games along the Warhammer-y, Battletech kind of thing, which often take quite a long time to play, or else they are games which were Kickstarter-only releases and where the minis were their main selling point. And in a lot of cases, those ones have not necessarily been tested as much as maybe they should be. And this is a very discerning group who doesn't have much patience for that. That is my understanding of how that's working. I'd love to hear.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see some. Like there's people played Nemesis yesterday with lots of minis.
Oh, I suppose that's different though. Nemesis wouldn't really qualify as one of those Kickstarter kind of.
I mean, it was.
That's exactly. You know the types of Kickstarter games I mean. Where like, it's all about like, look at these shiny, amazing minis, but we haven't really tested it that much. We just have made cool minis.
Sure.
I think.
Oh, I don't like that.
I just saw an alert saying lightning nearby on your laptop, and I'm like, oh.
There's lightning nearby, everybody.
Lightning.
Pray for us. Yeah, there aren't as many minis games here. Although this is a kind of convention where I think 2 years ago, somebody posted in the group at the time. It wasn't Discord, something else. I can't remember what we're using, like WordPress or something. And somebody said, "Hey, if I bring all of Imperial Assault, will somebody play through the whole thing with me?" And like people are like, "Yeah, let's do that." Wow. Right. So people will spend like 2 hours a day for the next 6-7 days just playing through and plowing through a game, which is wonderful actually, because it's really the only time we have those amount of people serious enough about the game to actually go through and finish it.
There are several people who've been talking about doing like a whole legacy game, like sitting down and just getting through the whole legacy game.
Oh yeah, like
in the whole sitting.
There's a game that the time on it is like 500 to 600 minutes, which is a game that Eric and I were playing, and we finished half of it, and then we said, "Oh yeah, we can finish the other half some other time. It could be even next year. We wouldn't care." But we sat down for a good 3 or 4 hours and finished a half of it. So it's like 500 to 600-minute playing time. We're like, let's see if we can get some of it done, right? So that's the other thing.
I mean, that's been a pretty cool thing. Like, as I mentioned today, I played Darwin's Journey. Normally at a convention, I don't go anywhere near anything that has that kind of level of playtime or like mental investment required, because that's just generally I'm just overstimulated by however much is going on. Yeah, I know. Well, there was a flash and I was like, oh, it's lightning, but it's not. It's the casino. There's a casino out the window. But the other thing is that generally I'm like, no, I can't lose an entire afternoon for only one game.
Oh, but you have so many afternoons left after
exactly.
that.
And so the luxury of this game, this convention, is that I have said I am going to allow myself to try and learn some bigger games.
Yeah, so it is literally a luxury, guys.
It is.
It's
huge.
It's a big expense, right? But it's also a really good opportunity. And for a lot of the people who come here, this is their only vacation. Like this is their vacation they take.
And it has that vibe. And the like, I haven't been on a board game cruise. I haven't been to like any of those other things, but it feels very much like that there's sort of this community feeling of we're all here together and we're all going to, you know, occasionally break off and do things, but realistically sleep is for the week and we are just here to play games.
Yeah, and it's like a board game cruise that doesn't leave port.
Yeah.
That also is just filled with people that you know.
Yes.
Mostly.
Yes.
Or that you'll get to know. That you trust because they've been vetted by at least 2 other people that are in attendance.
And that trust thing is really cool because people have brought their games, right? And everyone's just quite happily, like I've seen several people just leave their wallet on the table and get up and go to the bathroom. You'd never do that at a normal convention.
Or their phone or their laptop. Yep. Or somebody today, I was standing by a table demoing a game and somebody brought like one slice of pizza in a pizza box. So does anybody want it? It's like, yeah, I'll take that. And I ate the pizza while I was teaching the game and I didn't have to buy full lunch that day.
Yeah.
Also, Corey Thompson was.
Did I miss the fruit?
You missed the fruit. He had a weird fruit day, and so there's like people just run little weird events like Scotch tasting or something like. Because none of us are driving anywhere, because we're all staying here at this hotel. You have to stay at the hotel to be part of the convention.
I'm so sad I missed the fruit.
But not
Corey
the Scotch.
Was talking to me about it at So just recently I went on a game design retreat. If you follow my Instagram, you will have noticed that. And that game design retreat was at Corey's house, and Corey said, "Hey, there's some fruit that Corey
likes fruit and cheese,
weird fruit." And so at that, I went and like got a lot of cheese, and then he's like, "Well, I'm going to also have this amazing fruit that I'm taking with me to the gathering." And I was like, "Mint! I'm really looking forward to trying these weird."
Yeah, so I got to try.
What did you get?
Well, I've tried some of them before, but golden dragon fruit.
Oh,
the banana that candy bananas are flavored after that are kind of extinct almost. They're very small. A fruit that tasted like sweet potato. Fingerling limes.
Oh, he had fingerling limes. I love them. The way they go. Pop. Yes.
Yeah, just neat.
A fruit that tasted like sweet potato. I think I know what that is too. That's there goes the lightning.
Cocoa pods. Just all sorts of neat things that you wouldn't normally get. He said they're all grown in Florida. So.
And there's the thunder.
Oh, thunder and the lightning.
Yeah.
Troy's asked a question. Troy asks, Are there any common themes that are showing up at the gathering? Are zombies finally dead? Are ships on the rise?
So, in my opinion, zombies have been gone for a while.
Although I saw John Gilmore break out a prototype today that it was just zombies.
Is it more zombies? Well, see, but John Gilmore Long, actually does have, extra right to do zombie stuff. So I'm kind of fine with that. But in terms of like new zombie IPs and those sorts of things, no, I haven't seen anything like that coming out. Ships. I mean, I played a game called Dead Man's Chest, which is kind of pirate related, which is sort of like that. I played, it's more of a pirate. Pirates will never die. I think we're going to have pirate stuff. I know a lot of upcoming cool pirate games.
So what's a pirate's favorite letter? She wanted to say R. R. No, their first love be the sea. Okay, anyway. It's not R.
He's someone's dad. He's allowed to.
Yeah, pirates, cats, dinosaurs. Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
I don't think there's anything that's not being made into a game.
There's definitely, I mean, Boop the Halls, I just got to play.
Oh yeah, Boop the Hall. So instead of a blanket, it's a Christmas tree, like tiers
Yes,
of
and there
Christmas
are
trees.
ornaments and you knock them off the tree.
Very cute.
I love it.
Um,
I lost horribly. Kurt absolutely thrashed me. It was
right,
very
well,
funny.
that's Kurt.
Yeah.
There's one game that I got to play, which is really cool. So speaking of Corey brought a whole bunch of games from a designer who was like a self-published, unknown designer, and he brought like 50 copies of one of the best games that I played in a while.
Which was
It's called Expressions.
Oh.
And it's this cool little card game. It's a co-op for 3 to 5 or 4 to 5 players. And basically you got a hand of cards dealt out, and you have to get more in harmony and less in agony as a team. And you can tell people about your hand by playing cards and then rotating them to certain types of messages. So one of them is like, this is the highest number of this color that I have in my hand, or this is the lowest number of this suit in my hand, or color in my hands, colors. I have more of this number. I have none of this color. I think those are the 4 or 5 messages that you can tell. There's 4 because there's 4 sides of a card. Those are the 4 messages that you can tell. And when you guess a card correctly, the player who you guess can drop it into harmony, and then you also get to discard a card into the harmony. If you get it wrong, you discard your card into agony. And every card that is used as a clue automatically goes into agony at the end of the game. And your goal is to have we played a 4-player game, so you had 6 rounds, to have basically more cards in harmony than in agony. And we won. We did great. But the coolest thing about it is that the guessing is fun, but the real magic of the game is, what are you going to play into the discard when you get to discard, so you can tell people for free about your hand. It's so, because you can't give them the clue, you can't rotate the card.
That's neat.
But it's like, what else do you now know? Because, like, so let's say I had 3 ones in my hand. There's 5 colors. So 3 ones means that there's only 2 other ones out there. And let's say somebody played, a 1, saying that they have more 1s in their hand. It's like, well, I have the 3 others. You played the red one. You have to have the blue 1 in your hand. So I might guess that. And then I might then discard my 1. And then everybody else, well, okay, so he guessed 1s because he knew that, he knew you had to have that because me, had all the other 1s. And so they'll start guessing my 1s because I dropped the 1. Right? Get it? It's a great game. Anyways, it's my favorite game so far of the convention. It comes in a box about the size of a deck of cards. Also really like the 2 games by Rita Orlov and her company Post Curious Games that we've been playing, which is that The Light and the Mist is that really nice puzzle game that we're playing. And tomorrow I'm going to be
Puzzle
playing.
game. I love puzzle games.
Yeah. Do you want to play one tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay, so tomorrow at noon in the puzzle room, there's actually now a separate room just for puzzles or quiet gaming.
Yeah.
Myself, and you can come, and Matthew Monin, who is Octavian on BGG, will be playing. He's the moderator for BGG. We'll be playing tomorrow at noon till 2. Sound good?
Yeah. What's it called again?
Threads of Fate.
Threads of Fate.
It's lovely. Rita makes amazing stuff. Erica and I just interviewed her on Ludology, so that'll be on Ludology, not the Sunday after, but the next Sunday. So 3 Sundays from today, basically, is when we'll have the interview, I think, for Rita up. And then another couple Sundays, and then we'll have Mandy Hutchinson on Ludology talking about video game to analog table ports and vice versa, or the mechanics thereof. Cool. So, you know what? It is almost 10 o'clock. Do you guys have more questions? Ask questions. It's fine. You can ask us about the gathering. You can ask about whatever. So, Kat, will you come back?
Yes. Yes, I'm looking forward to it enormously. Hopefully next year, our plan is for George to be able to come as well.
Yeah, and of course, so this is an interesting thing. So children are not invited until they're 18, and then they can apply to be, you can recommend them to come as their parent. Now you can say that, but they still have to be vetted to come in. They don't automatically get to come. Spouses, on the other hand, are automatically able to come because they're spouses. So there you go. And there is, but because George isn't here, he can't register yet.
Right.
So there's all these registration stuff things. But anyways, yeah. So yes, I like that. See, so Troy is saying that Octavian is a good dude. He booted a lot of bad actors. I know a lot of the bad actors don't think he's a good dude, but Matt's a good friend of mine, and yes, 100% within his power to do what he does, and he keeps BGG, a place that's nice to be in.
Thank you.
Right, Jessica. It's good to see you too. Glad that you could see the tail end of this and have fun in where she says to have fun in Niagara. Are you having fun?
Yes.
Yes.
And I did get to see the falls.
Yeah.
It was rainy, and the falls were doing their sort of the thing they do where they like throw a whole lot of mist up, and so you can't actually properly see the falls. But the good thing about that was that there were almost no people there. And so, like, there were no lines or almost no lines. I got to see whatever I wanted to do. I went on Maid of the Mist and was, like, completely saturated by the falls. And got, it was all. I did some of the silly tourist stuff, but I've saved a bunch of things to do with George because I think that'll be much more fun to do together.
Cool. So. Oh, and George, my sister's school is across the bridge. Pasador BJJ is part of my lineage, and so they're just across the bridge if you want to go to Canada. To grapple. There you go. What else? So
what's your favorite game that you've played so far?
The Expressions one, I think was one of them. Is there any, like, does this replace some cons for you?
Yeah, I think if I had to choose between this and other cons next year, I would definitely choose this.
Yeah, so like people wonder, they ask me, so how come you don't go to all these other cons and blah, blah, blah? It's like, because I go to the Gathering, and it's like enough. It's like, I'm not here for the full 11 days because I work. So I usually come on the weekends, and I go back to the college and teach or run exams because it usually falls during exam week. And then I bring my marking here to mark, and I spend like 4 hours a day marking, and then go down and play games and then come back up. So I put in like an 8-hour day usually. Most days that I'm here to do work because I'm still working, but I can kind of work from anywhere when I'm doing marking, right? So I just do it here, and then I just play games for, take a break in the afternoon, come back up after dinner, mark some papers, go back down, play some games. And yeah, so this to me is my vacation. It's kind of the signal of the end of the year, of school year for me. And yeah, I'd rather do this than go to Gen Con. I'd rather do this than go to Origins. Yeah. I'd rather do this than go to almost any convention in the States, because I can get more done here in the same amount of time. Also, it's closer. This is like a 2 hour. This is a 2 hour drive for me. Yeah. It's a 2 hour drive.
It was a whole day of travel for me.
Yeah.
Because there are no direct flights from Portland. So I had 3 flights. I left Portland. I got up at 3 a.m. and I got here at, like, by the time I actually got to this hotel, I think, well, to the hotel that I was staying at, I think it was about 7:30, nearly 8 p.m. Local time, which meant, what is that? So 8 p.m.
8 p.m. local
5 p.m.
time?
So
5 p.m.
So 5
EST.
p.m. So I would have been traveling for 12 hours. No, it was, yes. 12, God. More. I haven't had much sleep. Maths is hard. I've played also several games that required lots of mathsing.
But you played them. You just maybe didn't win.
Oh no, I never win games.
That's okay.
With that. Oh no, I did though. I won something, didn't I? Didn't I win?
I don't know.
Did I win something? I didn't win the game against you, did I? No, not Baron Park. It wasn't that.
Troy's asking, how does one get invited to the Gathering of Friends? Well, it is a nomination process, so I think I explained this a little bit at the beginning, but my microphone might have been off. Who knows? Is that Yeah,
I
is
think
this
it's
on?
working.
Is this on?
Yeah.
Is that you have to get nominated by a current attendee and then get vetted by several other attendees. And
You do also have to fill out like that big form, right? Or someone has to fill out a big form for you. Because Gert
yeah,
was telling me he had to fill out this
there's
holographic
a
thing.
letter that you write,
Right.
right? That is kind of like it's almost like a letter of recommendation that somebody has to write for you, like this person deserves to be here, or would be lovely if they were here because, and so it is growing because I think people are getting to know each other in the industry more and more. But like I said, this isn't just industry. This is like all sorts of people from all walks of lives, all levels of gaming, and their spouses. So it's a lot of people who aren't part of the industry as well, which is again like a wonderful, lovely thing to see.
Gamers.
Yeah, and very diverse.
Yes.
Right.
It's getting more diverse. Certainly, I'm pleased to see that there seems to be an increase in diversity in general in a lot of these things. But
yeah,
yeah, more
is good. More is better. Cool. Well, anyways, everybody, thank you for watching. It was lovely to see you. Kat and I are gonna go learn Arc Nova and maybe get our brains like exploded because apparently it's a very hard game. I mean, I played it once before. I don't remember it well, but I need to remember it well because I need to do something about this game.
R.I.P. us.
R.I.P. us. All right, everybody. We'll see you next week when we'll be in separate places again, I guess. I don't even know what we're talking about next week, but we'll figure it out. We always do.
We'll figure something out.
Yeah. So it was great to see you all. Nice to talk to you, George, Troy, Jessica, everybody else who's watching out there. Lovely to see you. And David, Killing, Deadpan, Helena. Helena was here and now she's gone, so she's watching from home. David is somebody who, I will be personally inviting next year because he's a person I design with. Right. So that's kind of how you do it, is like, I want people here who I like working with and I like playing games with, and I like being with. And
I won't be eligible to invite people for a couple of years at least, though. So it's not like you get invited and you can immediately like chain that on. You have to kind of.
I mean, also just as a word of warning is, it's not seen as good form to ask to be invited.
Yes.
Right. So anyway. Yeah, well, that's it. That's right. It's the real treasure was the friends that you made along the way, right? So I think that's a good way of ending it. And like I said, I get that it seems exclusive, and I get that it seems that way for a industry that maintains inclusivity as a thing. But also, you have to remember that the roots were literally a private party, right? It was a private event, and it always is going to be that at some level. And I think that's okay. And the funny thing is, like, people would say, "Oh, you're saying that because you are invited." I would say that even if I wasn't. I don't care.
People are allowed to choose who goes to their parties.
Yep.
This is basically like an extended invitation to someone's house, and they're making sure that the people who are there are the kinds of people that they're comfortable with. I mean, I have to say, in terms of the like inclusivity, diversity side of things, the reason I was late is because I thought that it was very important for me to also attend the Women in Gaming dinner that we had. Well, the sort of women at the gathering kind of thing. So it was women and non-binary people actually all having a big dinner together, and there were more than 30 of us at this dinner. And I thought, no, it's very important that I'm there and that I support this and all that kind of thing. And it's very nice to see how very many women and non-binary people there are here. And it's great to see you all.
Yeah, it's lovely. All right, everybody, we'll talk to you next week as we, I guess, get prepared for Origins.
Yeah, we have our first booth.
Wow.
At Origins.
That's awesome.
It's not our first booth, but we have our first booth at Origins coming up during our first Kickstarter. So our Kickstarter is launching on June 11th, and then we will be during our Kickstarter period, we will be at Origins. Well, I will be at Origins, and George will be at home probably doing all of the rest of running a Kickstarter.
It's tough.
It's going to be a lot.
I don't envy you, George, actually. So our Kickstarter is launching next week. Speaking of Kickstarters, I should tell you all. Next week, Tuesday, Jay and I have designed a game called Core of Discovery, CORPS, Core. of Discovery, and it is a game coming out from Off the Page Games. So if you like what we make, if you like good comics, if you like games that are challenging and interesting and novel, it's a game about discovery. And it's like people have described it as kind of like Sudoku meets Mindslayer crossed with killing monsters and survival horror. So, I mean, take that as you will. All right. Oh, and this is the game that's coming out from Cat. Get in the camera there, Cat.
There.
Bubble Net.
And this is not at all any of those things. This is a multiplayer, solitaire, 10-minute palate cleanser kind of light little game about whales catching fish.
No monsters involved.
No monsters. I mean, unless you're the fish. Those whales must feel pretty terrifying.
Yes.
But there we are.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next week when we have, I don't know what, but we'll find something to talk about.
We will.
See you later. Bye.